Hello, we are Tajah Shawl,
and Rachael Collins,
soul sisters at heart.
somatic psychotherapists and teachers by trade.
I, Tajah, am a cisgender woman, a Black queer mama to two biracial children. I'm a poet, a musician, a dancer, a drummer, a witch, and an equity consultant.
I, Rachael, am a cisgendered female. I am white, queer, and autistic. I am a mother of two. I am a weaver and a mover. I am a lover of the natural world and a shamanic practitioner.
Together, we have spent the last few years running the Somatic Counseling Master's Program at Naropa University. Having left academia, we are now setting out to create a more accessible place for folks in the helping professions to practice what it means to be in deep, embodied relationship with hard things.
We are committed to creating and providing a place to engage in contemplative practice, to be in deep inquiry around how to evolve and be relational in new ways. And our hope is to be a part of the current wave of folks who are inspiring an evolution in the fields of service to be more radically inclusive.
We invite you to practice with us. How can we take a deep breath and come back to the present moment when we find that we have gotten off of each other's rhythm? How can we stay with the discomfort that might come up and keep moving towards connection, even when we are on different rhythms, literally and metaphorically?
This is meant to be an immersive podcast. We invite you to listen intentionally, to step into the practice with us. Even if you're listening while you're engaging in the daily tasks of your life, which we know most of you likely are, we invite you to practice infusing magic and mindfulness into every moment as we go.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
So we are here for this little mini episode just to offer to folks who may be interested in signing up to do some groups with us. Our group offering being the Artistry of Embodied Relationships. And maybe they don't know what that means, what that is. And so we wanted to share a little bit about how we hold that group and what people might expect if they sign up, who we think this is a good fit for, etc. So, do you want to get us started? Give our spiel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll do my best.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the first thing that I want to name about the group is that it really is a true blend of a lot of different components that Tajah and I both find really essential to the therapeutic process. So arriving at the group, really, it is a ritual space, meaning there's a clear beginning, there's a middle where we're entering the mystery, and really a lack of plan, if you will, and then an end. And each group is a ritual in and of itself, but then the series is a larger ritual. So group participants have described it sort of like an initiation in the past, where you arrive and you're learning how to weave the use of rhythm and how that supports your potential embodiment, your present moment awareness, and what we like to call like your presence, your healing presence. Like, how do you arrive and notice what is, and how do you do that in relationship? We really invite participants to do that on the land where the group is held, and in relationship to each group participant, in relationship to the space, to the elements in the space, in relationship to one's own body, and then also in relationship to spirit. So throughout the group, we're teaching folks, if you don't already have this skill set, we're teaching you one way of connecting with spirit. And when we talk about connecting with spirit, we're really talking about an animistic view of spirit, meaning that we can connect to the spirit of the creek, of the trees, of our ancestors, of any helping spirit that arrives that is with the intention to support your your wellness, your process. So each series, we teach folks how to connect. And if you have a practice that's established, you're welcome to bring in your own skill set around how you connect. We then move into interpersonal process. We then also listen to the spirits that have agreed to be in partnership with Tajah and I in running these groups. And we oftentimes are really looking to spirit to say what journey might be of benefit to those who are in the space right now. And to be of benefit, what we mean is, which ties to Tajah and I's like our orientation to this work of what healing, what wounds are alive in our very humanness, right? Even though we are therapists, not even though we are therapists, but we are first and foremost human beings who have experienced the world and are wounded. So the theory that we work with is that the more we can deepen into our own healing work, the more we can really fully be present and of service to other people. So, our spirit led process within the ritual is to be of service in supporting how folks are deeply connecting to their own wounds, what's getting in their way when they're working with clients, what's getting in their way or alive just in the presence of being in connection with other people in the room, inside of the group itself. So, these core tenets that we utilize to facilitate are very much around present moment, attention, embodiment, the use of rhythm, interpersonal process that crosses different sociocultural locations and includes our real identities in the present moment and how our our history, who we are, the bodies that we're in, how that's all relevant to how we show up in the group together.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I think I want to just like for people who are hearing this and getting for the first time maybe an introduction to how we think about orientation to spirit and relationship to spirit, want to just like say really explicitly this is not tied to any religious dogma. It is not dogmatic at all. It's more about how do you connect with the more than, the greater than human, and we believe that that is in everything. And that's, like you were saying, the animistic view of, the trees have things to teach us, and the creek has things to teach us and to offer us, and has medicine to offer us. And that that everybody, every human, simply by being born onto this planet, actually has that in our bones, in our lineage. If you go far back enough before colonization, every indigenous culture around the world had some way of connecting to spirit, connecting to land and to place and to ancestors who have passed on and who still have wisdom to offer us. Like, this is not at all a dogmatic thing. And in a lot of ways, for us, actually feels like a reclaiming of what is so natural to all of us as humans throughout history.
Mhm.
So a really open and welcoming space, no matter what your sort of like religious or spiritual beliefs are, accessible as long as you are open to being in a relationship with the more than human.
Mhm. Yeah. Just to speak a little bit to Tajah and I's facilitation process, like I was sharing a minute ago, oftentimes we're really deeply listening to see like what is being called for, both in the aliveness of the humans, which we call upon our therapy skills, right, of supporting the interpersonal vulnerability, risk taking, the giving and the receiving of feedback, of naming what you notice, but also listening to our spirits who are here to support. Um, so because the way we facilitate is so present moment oriented, each group looks a little bit different. It's
Hmm.
about who's in the room. It's about what are the themes that are alive for the people in the room. Um, it's what personally has made marketing this group feel so challenging because I'm like, how do we talk about what we do? Because it's so much about modeling and teaching like how to deeply be here and recognize that I am not just only in my body, but I'm actually deeply interconnected. And how do I start to widen the view of what I recognize happening in the present moment with where I am in proximity to place, to other humans, to spirit, on and on. Um, so it really, the way that we facilitate is really asking and teaching folks to widen the paradigm of what you might be doing for yourself, but also in the counseling room, right? Where we are not teaching, here's the intervention that you do with your clients from up here. We are really supporting folks in deepening their trust within their connections, within themselves, so that the interventions in the counseling room come from that connection in the present moment. Um, which doesn't exclude theory and different modalities of doing therapy. It's just a wider paradigm of how we hold space, right? How we hold our own self in deep, intimate healing relationships. Um, so perhaps we talk a little bit about like who might want to come to the group,
Mhm,
who might
mhm.
be interested or be of benefit, who might be a good fit.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we go there, I want to just bounce off of a couple things that you said, which were so brilliant. That we're always sort of in this dance relationally of what we know, right? Like the theory, we don't throw the theory out the window. It's always this like, what do I know? What have I learned from grad school, et cetera? What do I know in my own bones and in my own body? And also moving into the unknown, and that there's always unknown whenever you meet the present moment, whenever you're in relationship to another human, also in relationship to spirit, there's always a great amount of unknown of I don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. And so another big part of what we are doing is helping folks cultivate skills to sit with that of not dismissing what I know and also being able to be flexible and move with the unknown and to meet the present moment again and again. And that is simple but not easy. This is like I think one thing to your where you were leading us of like who this may or may not be a good fit for. This isn't exactly answering that, but I think just to name like this is not easy what we are doing, it is potentially confronting and challenging, and we are asking people to look at themselves and to sit with and hold their own wound and be witnessed in their wound by other people. Like it's really vulnerable.
Mhm.
And I think also in this moment, it is vulnerable, it is not easy. And I think in this moment of collapse in our country, like great collapse and undoing of these oppressive systems, and the heightening of such isolation and longing for community that I just hear over and over, like this is the very thing that people are wanting and asking for, and also don't have the skills necessarily to be able to tolerate. Like, okay, when we say let's build community, what does that actually mean? Because if we're going to build community, we have to be willing to be seen in our stuff and in our mess and in the messy middle and to sit with the unknown. And especially, across our different identities, whether that be race or gender or neurotype or age or religion or whatever it is, there's going to be some bumping up against, there's going to be some discomfort,
There's
and
going to be a little rub.
there's going to be some rub happening. And so for people who are wanting maybe to do this, just to know that outright, just expect there will be
Mhm,
moments where it is uncomfortable. And there will be moments where we are asking you to be seen and be witnessed in that vulnerability. That's part of building relationship and staying and coming back to the present moment, um, which is part of building community. That's just what that is.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I think oftentimes, in the groups that we have run so far, like what gets excavated with the rub, with the confronting is grief,
Uh-huh.
right? Is grief that of all that has been forgotten, forcibly taken away, like having not having enough access to like feel the interpersonal and interconnectedness that exists, right? Like there's so many aspects of um what it means to step into your present moment embodiment means to excavate the loss, right? Because when we also come to all the feelings and the gunk that has been there that has maintained this way of dominant operating of let me just prioritize my intellect and my cognition over everything else. Um, so yeah, like intentions of not scaring people, but of calling people in, right?
Yeah.
Coming back to who might really benefit from this group or long from this group. And also what we're looking for with participants is a willingness to step in, right?
Mhm.
A willingness, even if you're unsure and you have no idea what you're stepping into and like you don't know what it's going to be like, how you're going to respond, all of it. That's totally okay. But do you have a yes to actually step in and explore and play and grieve and rage and connect, right? And re-find with a sense of curiosity. Um, in other words, like, do you have a sense that there's a whole other layer to what could be happening in the therapy room than what is maybe happening right now?
Mhm.
Um, so many times I talk to therapists in the field and they're like, this work only goes so far, or it really feels like there's something getting in the way of like real connection, right? I'm really focusing on skill building and the skills aren't integrating, or my clients are resistant, quote unquote,
Mhm.
to these very like, here, do this task, right? Here's the checklist, do the checklist, and then your life will feel better, right? So this is really flipping that paradigm. It's not saying don't utilize those interventions or those skills, but we're really calling in therapists who are ready to step in a different way and explore what it can look like to move out of a paradigm of colonized white Western psychotherapy and into a paradigm of can we include more than this?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And inevitably there will be grief. I think the benefit of holding the container, Rachel and I holding the container and um calling in our counsel, our guides and our spirits who have agreed to partner with us is holding grief ritual, which is kind of in some ways what we're doing. It's like the grief is going to move, and there needs to be a strong enough container. So that's sort of our goal is like we can hold people in whatever shows up. Know that grief will move, and it is almost always like the grief of whether it's interpersonal grief of something that's happening in my own life or grief of the incredible violence that's happening in the world and in this country right now and perpetrated by this country now and throughout history. It's too big to hold in one body by myself. Like that doesn't actually work. We need to hold it in community, and we need to call in the more than human to help us hold and move the grief so that we can actually do something with it and metabolize it rather than just being stuck in it, which I think is a surefire way to not feel good in your body is to just stuff grief, right? Like that is a real quick way to experience, um, yeah, disease and unwellness, like really surely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So therapists who are ready and willing to examine, I think the current paradigm in the counseling room, folks who are ready to examine and confront what's happening and alive in your own body when you step into this role of quote unquote expert, like what's happening in relationships for you, all to be of service, right? To how you show up for other human beings, all to be of service for how you step into the building of community, the rebuilding of community, the rebuilding of culture.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, um, what we're not doing is teaching you interventions.
Right.
Um,
Right.
we're not. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and right. And that's not to say that, your client work will not ever come up. Like that may become relevant into the group. We are all therapists in the room. But right. We're not, there's no formula to what we're doing. It's not a plus B equals C. It is very much a meeting of the moment. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Which again is why it's hard to talk about it in marketing. So hopefully this is helpful.
Join us.
Join
Step
us.
into the mystery.
Yeah.
Step into the mystery of being of service at this particular moment in time, in our profession, in our country.
Yeah. Yeah. The groups we have run so far have been incredibly potent. We have learned so much and continue to. And yeah, we hope that this finds the people who it's meant to find. Anything else you want to say before we close?
No, just
All
a lot of
right.
excitement.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the last thing
Mhm.
I will say, just as a logistic piece, because whoever is seeing or hearing this, to say that we are currently holding these groups in person in Colorado. There is some future intention that maybe we'd have a virtual offering, or maybe we'd have like an intensive so that people from out of state, if they wanted to come and join us. But at this point, we are in Colorado and it's a multi-week thing. So would be hard if you are not currently in Colorado. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye. We hope you got something useful out of this conversation. If so, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find out more about what we're up to on Instagram at soul_embodied_connections. And if you have questions, reflections, or feedback for us, or if you have suggestions about topics that you'd like us to discuss on future episodes, you can email us at soulembodiedconversations@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.